Good morning, Oracles. Oracle Tim here. We are in for the grand opening of Giga Berlin. Elon is going to be giving out the first 30 Model Ys out of the Giga Berlin factory today. What an amazing day. We've waited a long time for this. Lots of red tape, lots of bureaucracy, lots of kicking this can down the road, but we are finally here. We've made it, and we're going to see some great things coming out of this. Now, Elon had also said himself that, this is a major stepping stone for the company because now the logistics of having a factory right there on the European continent is going to cut down on costs significantly from having to export from China over to Europe. Obviously, we need to get Giga Berlin up and ramped, so we're still going to have those exports coming in from China, but that is going to wane and we are going to see Berlin taking over all of those. So costs are going to come down as the days go on, and this is going to look great for margins as we get to the earnings. And this is just the start of what Elon had alluded to in his little tweet reply about his master plan 3, where he said basically it's going to be scaling to extreme size, so Berlin is going to be the start of that over in Europe. Then it's going to be a shift away from fossil fuels, which we know we've already been talking about. We're moving in that direction. And that's what Tesla's mission was from the beginning anyway, was transitioning the entire world over to renewable energy. So this is something we had talked about. And then AI is the last piece. So those are three of the main components that Elon said are going to be in Master Plan Part 3. And you can check out the video that we talked about this on the other day, which is just those three things. Scaling to extreme size with a company. Their goal by 2030 is to have 20 million vehicles produced every year. Then the next is going to be on the energy level. And we talked about taking energy and scaling energy to a massive level where entire communities, towns, states, even countries are converting over to renewable energy. And then AI, which obviously after the Q4 earnings call, when Elon said that FSD and the Tesla bot are going to be their two main focuses for the year, are just right there in line with the AI piece of all of this. So I'm really still looking forward to seeing the details of all of it. But, this is something we had talked about, and it's great to see that Elon is reiterating what many of us thought were going to be parts of Master Plan Part 3. And the other piece that we did talk about is the fact that we were talking about how all of the companies that he owns are going to be intertwined and working together in the future. And he said that's also going to be included in this. So everything we talked about on here discussing the Master Plan Part 3 is exactly where Elon is going with this. So again, really looking forward to the details. Can't wait for it. I'm guessing if we don't get it by the summer, we will probably get Master Plan 3 by the summer. And so how is the stock trading off of all of this information? Well, we've got 5 green days in a row. 5! That is awesome. And we have not actually had a strong, solid run since the beginning of October when we got the news for production and deliveries, followed by the Hertz news. So it's been quite a while since we have seen a long run. Obviously, we know that the majority of this is because of the macro environment situations going on. But seeing as the macro environment right now has clarity, not to say that we are in a good position in the macro environment, but we have clarity, so there's not a lot of extra new negative stuff coming on top of it. It's just the same normal old negative news that we currently have. So we have this going on, so Tesla has an opportunity to potentially run. So looking at the stock going forward, we've got Giga Berlin opening, so whether we get a sell the news situation or not, we shall see what happens over the course of the day. But then, in 2 weeks, we are going to get the production and delivery numbers. Then in 3 weeks after that, we are going to get Q1 earnings. So we can potentially see a run up into earnings. And this could be a wild ride. We do have resistance at 941, which yesterday we bounced right off of and came down pretty significantly and then leveled off around the 921 mark. There is a small, tiny gap between about 905.50 and 907. So I think what might end up happening is we may run up into earnings, see how earnings go, may run up a little bit more, might sell off after earnings, kind of depends on a bunch of different factors, both between Tesla and the macro environment, and then how other earnings are going as well. And then we might see a pullback afterwards that pulls us down to about that 905 mark to fill that gap. And now if for some reason after the Giga Berlin opening today, we do actually get a sell the news situation, that might pull us down to the 905 gap and fill it there. And then after that, we're kind of in an open space and might be able to run up into earnings still. So, seeing as how this week is going to be playing out, I still think that we are going to close the week over 950. And if we do end up doing that, that means that we have crossed that 941 resistance, which will then act as a good strong support for us. So I kind of hope that we do fill that gap before the end of the week and then cross over 941 by the end of the week, because then that just gives us a wide open room to run up after earnings. Because it would be really disappointing to see the stock run up to over $1,000 into earnings and then pull all the way back down to 900. Of course, with the macro environment, anything can happen. We may do all of that. We may do both. We may fill the gap, create a new gap, beat 950, cross 941, cross 1,000, come back down to 900. It could be a wild ride. I'm preparing for anything, but we've got 5 green days in a row. I want to continue seeing us go to the moon, so this would be awesome if we continue going on this path. And the good news is the volume has been on the higher end of average, between 28 million and 33 million shares traded per day, which is on the higher end. We had been trading around the low 20 million range. This means that there's a lot of positive sentiment around the stock, a lot more buying power and money coming into the stock as well. We do still know that obviously options are huge. It manipulates the stock a lot. But seeing the volume being this high just means that there's a more positive sentiment behind it because it continues to go up and be green. And the stock is currently trading at an RSI right around 56, which is right in the middle, so average. So we can go up or down either way. Lots of room to grow. It's going to be exciting to see how the stock trades over the next month, especially going into earnings. I really do anticipate, despite the fact that we know Russia and Ukraine situation still has high tensions, China, Taiwan could potentially have high tensions. China has said that they're not looking for that right now, and I think China's kind of sitting on the sidelines right now with any intentions that they might have. Just because they see what's going on with Russia, they don't want to get themselves into that situation. And then with inflation being high as well, it's there. We know it's there, but the Fed is looking to keep it in line, and the market is, at least at the moment, pleased with how the Fed is handling the inflation with their interest rate hikes. So that at least has, clarity and some sense of order to it. So it gives us a room to move up in the stock, and let me know your thoughts as to what do you think is going to happen over the next month. Do you think we're going to get this euphoric run with no real strong obstacles in our way? Or do you think that we are going to fall down, fill that gap, and then sit around 900 and maybe fall further? And one side note piece that I wanted to mention, because this could have very strong implications for Tesla in the future, is the SEC is looking to require companies to disclose their emissions and financial risks due to emissions in the future. This still hasn't gone through. They still are proposing this. But think about it. If all these companies had to start disclosing their emissions and how it's affecting their finances, Tesla obviously is leading the way with this. So when you're starting to look at companies like the legacy automotive companies, even some of the startups that are out there, when you're looking at this in the future, if the SEC is going to start requiring companies to disclose this information, that could bode very well for Tesla and not very well at all for many other companies that are out there. So I'm actually looking forward to this. I would love to see it get passed through and become a reality. So let me know your thoughts on that as well, if you read up on that. If you have not, I've got it over on my Twitter account. It's over there. And I'm over there at Oracle Tim 1. But I'm really looking forward to that because that could really set the stage for a even stronger platform for Tesla to be riding on in the future, especially when it comes to institutional traders who are looking at things like that. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all of the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information, and all of my daily trades. Thank you so much. Have a great one.